Welcome to This Explainer. We're jumping right in today because we're looking at a totally persistent, honestly frustrating challenge for planners and agencies everywhere. How on earth do you gather public input for major projects without literally losing your mind to the logistics? Well, we're going to explore how two digital platforms are tackling this exact headache by doing something pretty remarkable, capturing both deep expert insight and massive public scale at the same time. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the digital engagement dilemma, move into two tools, one strategy, then look at some real impact regarding youth crime. After that, we're scaling up with the AIBC Summit, and we'll wrap up with ethics, sustainability, and pricing.
Part 1. The Digital Engagement Dilemma, Balancing Depth and Reach.
If you've ever run a public consultation, you know the drill. There is this constant tension between satisfying the corporate decision makers who need rigorous, detailed data and keeping the broader community actually engaged. So it begs a highly provocative question. How do you capture deep expert consensus and massive community validation without completely breaking the bank? Standard consultations usually force a really uncomfortable compromise. You either blow your entire budget on a handful of intensive focus groups, or you just throw a cheap online survey out to the masses and pray the data isn't useless. There is a core conflict here, right? Deep expert insight versus rapid public sentiment. Getting detailed, nuanced policy ideas from experts is absolutely fantastic for high-level strategy. But let's be real. A 50-page consultation document is going to completely alienate the general public. People just don't have the time. On the flip side, broad public polling is super fast and gets you a ton of numbers, but it rarely gives you the actionable, nuanced solutions you actually need to solve complex systemic problems. It's a classic catch-22. Moving to part 2. Two tools, one strategy, introducing Mindhive and Yana. And this brilliantly illustrates our solution for this exact dilemma. Instead of choosing between depth and reach, this strategy brings modern marketing and human-centered design right into the world of data analytics, using two distinct platforms. Mindhive is built for the heavy lifting. It enables you to run structured engagement campaigns with clear summaries and deep analytical frameworks. Yana, on the other hand, perfectly complements this by offering rapid, swipe-based, mobile-friendly engagement. It's fast-paced and reaches the people who usually run for the hills when they see a long-form survey. Paired together, you get the deep dive and the wide net. Part 3. Real Impact Youth Crime, the Rockhampton CBC-AC case study. Let's look at how this plays out in the real world. Between May and August 2023, the Rockhampton Community-Based Crime Action Committee, overseen by Director Jeff Higgins, faced a monumental challenge. They had to somehow untangle almost 100 duplicated regional services that had very limited shared intelligence. To fix this, they adopted a sequential two-stage methodology. Step 1 leveraged Mindhive for deep, expert-led insight. Step 2 used Yana for broad community validation. And guys, this specific order is absolutely critical. First, you get the experts in a virtual room to generate systemic, workable solutions. Then, and only then, you take those refined solutions out to the streets to see if the public actually supports them. Just look at the micro-level depth achieved in Step 1. They hosted a structured 3-week Mindhive discussion exploring 12 really complex questions about youth crime drivers. They invited 63 expert participants and saw an incredible 50% actively contributing. That is huge for expert engagement. This generated 171 comments, 431 likes, and resulted in 19 consolidated insights. Because of this intense, focused collaboration, they locked in 4 clear consensus recommendations: redefining education, establishing a backbone agency, localizing funding, and strengthening community efforts. Let's move to and see how this builds in Step 2. An expert blueprint is great, but without public backing, it usually just gathers dust on a shelf, right? So after establishing that consensus, they deployed Yana to validate those 4 recommendations with the wider public. And the scale was massive. They reached over 1,000 community members. 1,000 people! They were able to run rapid, large-scale sentiment testing through short-form questions to see exactly what the actual community prioritized. That validation right there, that is where the real magic happens. Because they brought this undeniable combination of expert consensus backed by massive quantified community support, they were able to create an incredibly compelling evidence-based submission. The results? They secured a $2 million state government funding package. $2 million. That is the true power of proving your case with both qualitative depth and quantitative scale. I really want to highlight this quote from the committee. They noted that this generated deep insights from around the world on how to tackle youth crime. This digital strategy took a highly fragmented local effort across almost 100 services and transformed it into a unified, globally informed, and practical regional strategy. It just goes to show why effectively structuring your data collection leads directly to meaningful, ready-to-implement recommendations. Moving right along to Part 4, Scaling Up AIBC Summit and High-Volume Technical Delivery. Now, it's one thing to run a multi-week consultation. It is another beast entirely to handle a live, high-pressure event. This case study from the Australia-India Business Council Summit between August and September 2022, directed by Irfan Malik, proves the raw technical capacity of this software under fire. The back-end processed contributions using natural language clustering, which is basically AI grouping similar ideas together on the fly, alongside strict role-based access across 10 sector streams. At the exact same time, Yana used server-side scoring to instantly process swipe-based binary questions, zero lag. This allowed hundreds of attendees to provide real-time input across multiple live panels with absolutely no system downtime. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the outcome of that flawless technical execution. The feedback was incredible. 100% of participants found the summit engaging, and 80% learned something new. But honestly, the real triumph for the organizers was the cross-system integration. Yana's rapid quantitative data automatically merged with Mindhive's deep qualitative insights into a single, unified digital report. No manual collation, no messy spreadsheets, just instant, actionable reporting for business and government stakeholders. And finally, Part 5, Ethics, Sustainability, and Pricing, the logistics of digital engagement. For the planners and project managers tuned in, I know what you're thinking. Is it secure? Is it transparent? Yes. We all know the universal misery of manual logistics. Nobody likes costly street-level surveys, endless paper printing, or the dreaded manual note-taking where you end up squinting at handwriting you can't even read. This digital infrastructure replaces the whole shebang. It's cloud-based, low-carbon, and completely eliminates the need for travel. Plus, your data is handled ethically, with secure authentication and totally transparent data collection. You're giving everyone an equal voice without creating an operational nightmare. So the crucial point is, what does this actually cost? Well, here is the exact pricing matrix, and it scales directly based on your project size. It ranges from level 1, with a market rate of $115 and a maximum of $145. And it scales up predictably through levels 2 to 5, like $145 to $185 for level 2, and so on, all the way up to level 6, which caps at a $350 market rate and a $450 max. This proves that having scalable, enterprise-grade infrastructure is highly accessible, whether you're running a hyperlocal neighborhood initiative or a massive international summit. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a direct challenge. If you could consult 1,000 people tomorrow without printing a single piece of paper or wrangling a single manual spreadsheet, what would you ask them? Just imagine applying this exact two-stage capability, the deep expert insight of Mindhive combined with the massive rapid validation of Yana, to your own organizational hurdles. The tools to solve the digital engagement dilemma are literally right in front of you. Thank you so much for joining me today. Keep exploring, and I cannot wait to see what insights you uncover.